I had to restart my mic. I mean, it's the same mic, but for some reason it wasn't working. All right, we can talk about stuff that you guys want to, or I can pretty much go in turn. What do you guys want to do? All of you guys are muted right now, so either tell me what you want me to talk about, or okay. Let's start talk about basically chapter 5 stuff. Let's talk about some of the end of chapter problems on chapter 5. Let's see. All right. All right, here's a set of problems. This is problem number 11 at the back of the chapters. So consider the following cash flows on 2 mutually exclusive projects for the Bahamas Recreation Corporation. Both projects require annual return of 14%. These are the cash flows. And let's go ahead and make the calculations. I'm using the file investment rules template. Since I'm going to be comparing multiple projects, I basically made a copy of it. Let me actually delete one of these. And let's call this Deepwater. Easiest way to do is create a copy of this, right click, move or copy, create a copy. I'm going to move it to the end, and I'm going to call this submarine. All right. Our first task is to enter the proper inputs. Both projects require 14% return, so that's the cost of capital. Remember, anything with a green background, either light or dark, they are kind of input cells. Cost of this project is $875,000. It has cash flows for 3 years. Ignore that part. And for now, ignore that part as well. Let's do the same thing for the submarine. 14%, 1650, 3 years. Now, the way we set up the template, it ignores anything, even if there are numbers from before, which I'm gonna delete simply because I'm anal about it. But even if numbers were there, they're not used. These dark green cells are the cells where I'm going to enter the inputs, the future cash flows. So for the deep water, that's 330, 480, 440. For the submarine, 890, 730, 590. Now, in this template, you automatically read off your NPV and IRR, provided that cash flows are conventional. You don't have to worry about uniqueness of IRR. And let's see what the question is asking. If your decision rule is to accept a project with a greater IRR, which project should you choose? Well, let's check. Deepwater has an IRR of 19.16. Submarine has an IRR of 1750 or so. Which one do you think we should choose? Deepwater is 1916, submarine is 1750. If you don't have Deepwater, because it has higher IRR. Obviously, we always check that the higher IRR is actually greater than the cost of capital. Because just because a project has a higher IRR does not necessarily mean that we like that. It has to be acceptable by itself. Okay, next question asks, because you are fully aware of the IRR rule scale problem, if you look at this, I mean, the submarine project is almost twice as big, right? But the IRR does not know anything about the scale of the problem. You calculate the incremental IRR. We haven't covered this, but we could have. Incremental IRR is the difference between the cash flows. Let me actually do that here. Let me create a copy. I'm not going to ask this in the exam, but still, let's do this. In fact, I'm going to make this as submarine minus Deepwater. Cost of capital is the same. Cost of project is the difference between the two. So 650, 750, 775. First year you make on the submarine 560,000 more. Second year, 250,000 more. Third year, 150,000 more. And the IRR of the cash flows, the difference of the cash flows is called incremental IRR. Well, it's greater than the cost of capital. So that's another reason that basically tells us that we should actually accept the submarine project based on incremental IRR. Comparing regular IRRs, Deepwater is higher, so they could give conflicting results. Part C. To be prudent, you compute the NPV for both projects. Which projects should you choose? Is it consistent with the incremental IRR rule? Now let's look. Deepwater has an NPV of almost 81,000. Submarine has an NPV of over 90,000. Obviously, based on NPV rule, we should accept the submarine. And that is also consistent with the incremental IRR. That's kind of expected. assuming that incremental cash flows are conventional. I have a question from Zaylen. Both projects are beneficial, but they are mutually exclusive, which means you have to pick, you can pick only one of them. If these were standalone, we would have accepted both of the projects, both based on IRR and NPV rules. Let's see, let's look at the next issue. This time, we're gonna look at the issues with profitability index when projects are mutually exclusive. Again, I'm going to leave them as they are. So let's call this project 1. Required rate of return is 10%. 65,000 cost of project, 3 years. And we get 31.5 in each year. And it has a profitability index that we can directly read off. It's about 1.21. On project 2, 49,800. 24.9. And it has a profitability index of 124. Well, which one would you prefer? Project 1 or project 2?